There's something nobody tells you when you're young. Life isn't random, it isn't chaos, and it certainly isn't luck. Most of the things that happen to you, the missed opportunities, the unexpected problems, the moments you felt completely stuck, follow patterns. Quiet, invisible patterns that most people never notice, but once you see them, you can't unsee them. Today, we're going to talk about 5 of those patterns. 5 laws of life that are shaping your decisions, your career, your relationships right now, whether you're aware of them or not. By the end of this video, I promise you'll look at your everyday life a little differently. These aren't laws you learned in school. They don't come from a physics textbook or a government regulation. They come from something more powerful: human experience. Decades of observation about how people succeed, how they fail, why they overthink, and why they often solve the wrong problem entirely. Understanding these 5 laws won't make life perfect, but they will save you from wasting years fighting things you could have simply anticipated. Let's begin. The first is Murphy's Law. The law is simple: if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Now, before you roll your eyes, this isn't pessimism. Stay with me. Imagine a young professional named Stefan. He spent 3 weeks preparing for the most important client presentation of his career. He's memorized the slides. He's rehearsed the opening. He's ironed his shirt the night before. And then 15 minutes before the meeting, his laptop dies. He borrows a colleague's. The file won't open. He switches to his phone. The projector won't connect. He stumbles through it. The client is confused. He leaves feeling humiliated. Here's the thing: Stefan wasn't unlucky. Stefan was unprepared for the reality that important moments attract problems. When stakes are high, we notice problems more. Our anxiety sharpens our perception of everything going wrong. But more practically, complex situations have more moving parts, and more moving parts means more failure points. Prepared people aren't lucky. They've simply asked themselves, what could go wrong and what will I do when it does? The best speakers have backup slides, the best travelers have backup flights, the best plans have backup plans. Murphy's Law doesn't ask you to be paranoid, it asks you to be honest. Expect the obstacle, plan around it. And when it shows up, you won't be surprised, you'll be ready. Readiness isn't fear. Readiness is confidence with a safety net. The second law is Kidlin's Law. If you can write a problem down clearly, you are already halfway to solving it. Most people live with their problems swirling in their heads, undefined, shapeless, enormous. And that's exactly why those problems feel impossible to solve. Meet Priya. She's 27, talented, and completely stuck. She can't sleep. She keeps thinking she's in the wrong career but doesn't know what the right one is. Every Sunday evening, a quiet dread settles in. One night, unable to sleep, she opens a journal she bought months ago but never used. And she writes one question at the top of the page. What exactly is making me unhappy? She starts writing, just writing, no filter, no structure, and slowly a pattern emerges on the page. She doesn't hate her work, she hates her manager, she doesn't hate her career. She hates feeling invisible. The problem that felt like a fog became, on paper, something with edges, something she could actually address. The human mind is not built to hold complex problems. It loops, it spirals, it catastrophizes. But when you force a problem into words, specific written words, your brain shifts from anxiety mode into problem-solving mode. Writing activates a different part of the brain. It slows thought down. It forces precision. The next time you feel overwhelmed, don't think harder, write it down. Not a mental list, not a voice note. Write it by hand in plain sentences. Describe the problem like you're explaining it to a stranger. Confusion lives in the mind. Clarity begins on paper. The third law is Wilson's Law. If you prioritize knowledge and learning, money will continue to follow. This one sounds like something a motivational poster would say, but let me show you what it actually looks like in real life. Rohan dropped out of a business degree he hated. No backup plan, no savings. His family thought he'd made the worst decision of his life. But instead of panicking, he did something strange. He spent his next 6 months obsessively learning video editing, copywriting, storytelling, design, not to make money quickly, just because he found it genuinely interesting. 18 months later, he was freelancing for brands he once only dreamed about, not because he was exceptional, because most people spend their 20s chasing job titles while he quietly built rare skills. Money follows value. And value is almost always the result of skill, knowledge, and the ability to solve real problems for real people. The world does not pay for credentials. It pays for outcomes. And outcomes come from understanding, deep, practiced, evolving understanding. Stop asking how do I make more money and start asking what can I understand more deeply than most people, learn the craft, master the skill, understand the problem better than anyone around you. Wilson's law doesn't promise overnight success. It promises something better, that you will never be without value in a world that always needs people who know things deeply. Chase knowledge like it's the most valuable currency on earth, because it is. The fourth law is Falkland's law. If you don't need to make a decision, don't make one. We live in a culture that worships decisiveness. We're told that successful people act fast, move quickly, seize the moment, and that's true sometimes. But there's an entire category of decisions that shouldn't be made yet. And making them too early often causes the very damage we were trying to avoid. Mira had been with her company for 3 years. She got a better offer from a competitor, more money, more prestige, but something felt off. The timing wasn't right. Her current project was 6 weeks from completion, and her gut said wait. Her friends said take it now, opportunities don't wait. She waited, finished the project. That project became the most visible work of her career. 3 months later, she got an offer from a third company, twice the salary, twice the growth. The decision she almost rushed would have cost her the best opportunity of her professional life. Impatience masquerades as urgency. We confuse anxiety with action. When we're uncomfortable, we want to do something, anything, to release the pressure. But sometimes the discomfort is not a signal to move. Sometimes it's just the feeling of waiting, which is hard but necessary. Before you make any significant decision, ask yourself, do I actually need to decide this right now? If the answer is no, wait, gather more information. Let time reveal what rushing would have hidden. Doing nothing is not weakness. Sometimes it is the most powerful move on the board. The fifth law is Gilbert's law. The biggest problem at work is that nobody tells you what the real problem is. This one is subtle, and it's everywhere. A startup team spent 4 months rebuilding their entire product interface after users said it was confusing. They worked weekends, sacrificed sleep, launched the new version, user numbers didn't improve. Finally, someone actually sat down with 5 users and just listened, really listened. The interface wasn't the problem. The problem was that the onboarding email was never being opened. New users didn't even know what the product did before they signed up. The confusion began before the app was ever opened. 4 months of work, solving the wrong problem entirely. Because people tell you what they think you want to hear. Because surface symptoms are easier to describe than root causes. Because most of us don't fully understand our own problems, we just know something isn't working. In families, in businesses, in friendships, the stated problem is rarely the real one. The argument about dishes is usually about feeling unappreciated. The resignation letter is usually about being ignored for too long. Before you solve any problem at work, at home, in your own mind, slow down long enough to ask, is this actually the problem, or is this just the problem I can see? The most valuable skill you can develop is learning to sit with a problem longer than feels comfortable, to ask better questions, to listen differently. Most problems are misunderstood long before they're ever solved. So here's what these 5 laws are really telling you. Murphy's law says, expect the obstacle and prepare. Kidlin's law says, name the problem and it will shrink. Wilson's law says, build your knowledge and value will follow. Falkland's law says, don't rush the decision, patience is strategy. Gilbert's law says, question the problem itself before you rush to solve it. They seem simple. And they are, that's the point. Most of the wisdom that actually changes your life isn't complicated. It's just quiet, it doesn't announce itself. It sits beneath the surface of ordinary days, in the missed flight, the sleepless night, the job you're not sure about, the conversation that never quite got to the truth. Life rarely changes in one dramatic moment. More often, it changes the day you finally understand the quiet rules that were guiding it all along. Tell me which law you've already lived through. And if this video made you see something a little more clearly today, subscribe. Every week, we explore powerful ideas, timeless wisdom, and the kind of life lessons that actually stay with you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.